How's it going, people? Welcome to this week's edition of the Locker Room. It's all about the top four, ladies and gentlemen. The top four race is heating up, and we have today in the virtual studio a Spurs fan to take us through, and we will get right into it after this. Brilliant. Welcome back if you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the locker room right here on Top 6 Fan TV. Matthew is the name, and with me in the studio, the virtual studio, that is today is a Spurs fan, Walter Okas, joining us for the first time. Walter, you are welcome. Say hi to everyone.
Thank you very much, Matthew. It's really a really good pleasure for me to be here. Yes, my first time, and I'm really. I sometimes I think I'm the only Spurs fan in Uganda, so it's a good opportunity for me to be here and speak on behalf of a few that even don't know who I am.
Brilliant. Well, at least you're better off. You're better off than the Manchester City fans who all of a sudden disappeared when it was back to school time. So you can tell what the age profile is. They're all somewhere in class right now, and yeah, I'm sure there's a few more Spurs fans out there, than Man City fans, but definitely much less than the rest of the other big boys. So welcome to Chilling with the Big Boys,
Thank you,
and
thank you.
it's great to have you on the show. And actually, if you're just joining us, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Feel free to subscribe to our content. We'll be excited to have you, catch up with our content as and when, we do post something. And obviously, comes without saying, please also do hit the like button, the notification bell, and we'll definitely be looking forward to bringing you some great content and getting into the action. Spurs, we'll kick it off with Spurs, of course, and a review of the results from last week. We had a double game week. Spurs played twice. They played midweek on Wednesday, a game against Southampton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They had two home games and they lost that 3-2, much to obviously the delight of the rest of the chasing pack in the top four. But Antonio Conte, seemed to get a few more cracks on his face and was not too pleased about that one. 3-2, Heung-min Son scoring for Spurs. But not enough, as well as a non-goal from Jan Bednarek, but not enough as Armando Broja, Mohamed Elinisi, and Che Adams, pitched in with some goals there for Southampton, and they basically took it away. And then a few days later, on Sunday, we did have Spurs playing again, still at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they hosted Wolverhampton Wanderers, who lost 1-0 to Arsenal in the midweek game. And Spurs came in, and you would have expected a fantastic response from them, considering they were home. They have what could be another contender for the top four, or at least the Europa League spots. Wolves coming in, and Wolves absolutely tearing Spurs to shreds, although the score was limited to 2 goals. But Raul Jimenez and Liam Dendonka doing the business for Wolves. And what that means for Spurs is that is two straight losses, and their games in hand are all of a sudden looking like an advantage that they did not have. And that those two losses dropping Spurs into eighth position, level on the same number of games as Arsenal, who are in sixth right now. But Arsenal are now 39 points and Spurs on 36 points, and Wolves is in between. Is in between them in seventh position having played a game more with 37 points. So you can see what that has done. Arsenal obviously still maintaining, a healthy number of games over Manchester United, who have played 24 games and at 40 points. They're in fifth. West Ham in fourth on 41 points, having played 25 games. And then we all know who the top three are: Manchester City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, in that order. But Walter, what is going on with Spurs?
Spurs. Everything is going on wrong. For once, we have
Terrible.
once I think in a few years. It's not too long since our golden coach left, Mauricio Pochettino, and everything just seems to have fallen apart. But actually, it didn't just start when he left. It started a few months before he left, and you could see he was not happy anymore, and he wanted a different. He wanted to add to the team because he felt that the team had reached its peak, and so he wanted to add to the team, but he was not getting the backing from our chairman and the group. And you know how Daniel Levy is really a problem. But somehow, in the past, we were getting the good signings, the Eriksen, the Luka Modric, and somehow the team kept on growing without fans. Of course, we had the excuse of the stadium, the new White Hart Lane, and that is now gone. But still, being so stingy, you see, our players have been there for many years, Son and so on, brilliant players, but for some reason it just cannot click anymore. I'm concerned. As a Spurs,
yeah, you don't see it.
Yeah, I've supported Spurs since 1999, and it was a mid-table team, and now it is turning into a mid-table team once again. So I'm going back, dating back 20 years.
To your roots, yes.
Yeah, to my roots, and you can imagine how that is. So Spurs at the moment is sometimes I don't know. I'm just heartbroken. I don't even know how to talk about it. It's a very good squad. I cannot complain about the squad. Even the players that were sent out, the four, Dele Ali. I mean, just look at the four of them that left. Brian Gill, who hardly even kicked a ball in the short time that he was around. Giovanni Lo Celso was not given really opportunity under the last two coaches. So you can see, that we had very talented players, and just somehow the results just could not click.
So what was your take? What's your take on the two new signings, Betancourt and Kulusevski? Because I know Spurs did miss out on their primary targets, two primary targets, Luis Diaz and Adama Traore, and in came Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Betancourt from Juventus. But what kind of impact do you think they are having on the team? Are they a positive addition, or do you feel that they add to the dead weight? And then what has happened with the players who are holding it up for Spurs in midfield? Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Son. Son has actually been pulling his weight, but Harry Kane, yes, he's trying, but this is way below Harry Kane's standard. So, we can say we are shocked about the results for Spurs, and probably as opposition fans, Arsenal fans, myself inclusive, probably giving Spurs a lot more respect than they deserved before the last two games, because we're definitely, after the transfer window, Arsenal had as well. We're like, no, without a recognized proper striker and replacing Aubameyang, who we knew had issues with the coach, and then obviously left. We were convinced that we're going to finish behind Spurs and Manchester United in that hand for top four, and probably tussle it out with West Ham for probably sixth place or something like that. But the way things are going now, and we'll get to United after this, it does look like Spurs is going to come up short yet again towards the back end of the season.
Yeah, that is correct. It actually looks that way for me, but I'm a bit optimistic. Looking at the signings that we got, I'm happy about Bentancur. I actually didn't know much about him until he became a big talk about the signing that Spurs were interested in. But then I began to follow him and see how he plays and all that kind of stuff. He's really, I think, a perfect fit who might actually be someone that can fit in the place of Luka Modric in this case. Because we have not had a playmaker ever since Eriksen left. Tottenham died. And you can see last season was a bit exceptional, but it was a Harry Kane, Son kind of thing. But a team cannot rely on two players. It has to have that central a coalition from the middle, and that's where everything happens. So Tottenham right now is playing on the wings, and I think we are lacking so much in the center. So we cannot create opportunities like the way Man City plays everywhere. They're strong in the center, strong on the left wing, strong on the right wing. It's like there are 5 strikers on the just because the midfield is too I could say perfect.
Yes.
Yes. So I think Rodrigo Bentancur, in his first 2 games that he has played, I really loved his performances. He's a playmaker type of player. So I'm optimistic that once he clicks in the team very well and gets to have a perfect partnership, maybe with Javier, or maybe even Oliver Skip, who I don't really fancy. I actually don't fancy so much Javier and Oliver Skip because they are more rigid, totally defensive-minded players. They're not the typical Tottenham offensive kind of players. So they lose the ball so often. They give up a lot of opportunities. When Tottenham is building up, that's exactly when they trip or lose the ball or something. So we need that glue on the ball, which most of our players right now simply do not have. I think it's only Lucas Moura, Harry Kane, and Son, and even Harry Kane has lost it. It's Lucas Moura and Son that really have that glue on the ball. It's not easy to get the ball off them. Most of the others are really just dropping the ball. So I'm very happy about Bentancur. I wouldn't say the same about Kulusevski. I'm not yet convinced that we got a good player in Kulusevski. I really I've watched him. He played in 2 games, and he has played very few minutes. But I'm not convinced with Kulusevski.
You need to give him full games, man.
Yeah, true. But even still, for the thing that we are lacking, okay, me if I was Daniel Levy or Antonio Conte, I'd be looking for something more like 2 Bentancurs coming in. You see, like the way, I know we're going to talk about Manchester United next, but Manchester United just got 2 players, Bruno Fernandes and Mason Greenwood. Those 2 players transformed the whole of Manchester United last season.
Yes.
Just those 2. And so we needed 2 players like that. We have 1. I'm not yet sure about Kulusevski. I might be proved wrong, but that's what I feel. I'm really confident about him. But I think our transfer window was not the best. We really needed to get Luis Diaz, because I think that would be the perfect 2, Bentancur and Luis Diaz, to partner together with Son. I would even just imagine that whole partnership.
Son and Harry Kane, that would have been quite something.
Fantastic at the front and in the midfield. So the players that left, I think they needed to go. They really struggled. The only one I'm going to miss is Dele Alli. I'd come to really love that guy. I think because
he was your Achilles heel.
Yes, for a very long time, and he might not have performed well for a season or 2 seasons, but I still think he had it. Or 4. No, but he was doing well. It's just this 1.5, 2 years, 2 seasons have been a bit crazy for him. And but that's football. Sometimes
that's football.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me take you. Let me take you, Walter, to I'm sorry for cutting you short, but we do have to move on. We have the rest of the top 6 and the chasing pack to touch on. But
Yeah.
the games are not going to be easier for Spurs going forward because your next match is away at the City of Manchester Stadium, now known as the Etihad, to face the champions and champions in waiting, if all goes well for them, Manchester City. And thereafter, you have an away game to Burnley, who are fighting, against relegation. And you saw how much respect Jurgen Klopp was according them over the weekend. 1-0 win there for Liverpool, but hard fought. And then thereafter, you do go away to Leeds, who we know will always get a goal against you, so you need to outscore them, and that doesn't look um, quite the prospect. And then the games go on. You have an FA Cup break in there, Middlesbrough away to Middlesbrough, which you were expected to win. And then the Premier League returns in the first weekend of March, and it gets more interesting. You welcome Frank Lampard's Everton to the Spurs Stadium, after which you go to Old Trafford to play Manchester United, after which you welcome West Ham to the Spurs. I mean, the fixture list for Spurs of the next 8 games, after which you play Newcastle, who have picked up some steam in their battle against relegation, and then
Yeah.
you go and visit Steven Gerrard away at Villa Park and Aston Villa, and then Brighton, and then after Brighton it then gets a little bit easier. You have Brentford, Leicester City, then not so easy. Leicester City, then Liverpool again, then Burnley again. Actually, Spurs, you have a tough running.
Yeah.
Your last games are actually quite tough. I'm just looking at them again and I'm wondering, oh my goodness, after dropping these points, 6 points against these teams that you've lost, ideally those are the 6 points you are supposed to absolutely get at least before the Manchester City game, and then try and push for a draw there, and then try and win the others. But it's looking quite tight. Looking quite tight. Do you see yourselves? Are you still strong contenders for the fourth position?
About the fourth position, at the moment, I actually doubt that we will finish anything above fifth, and I wouldn't feel so bad. I think it's just how the whole season has been. It's been difficult. I hope that we finish in top 5, but that Champions League spot, I doubt that Tottenham will finish in that. Maybe next season when we put ourselves back together, and when the team clicks, because I know for sure that Conte is going to add more players, and more are going to get out through the window. Yeah, it's going to be tight for us. We've lost these 2 critical games, but I think Wolves, which is now just above us, it's a tough team, and I think if I remember well, I think they beat us even in the first leg. Yes. That's if I remember well. So they're tough teams. Manchester City, I'm not too worried about that match. Usually, I know what the result is.
Yes.
I expect us to be beaten. Might sound negative to the other Spurs fans, but I expect us to be beaten. I know we managed a win against them for the first day of the league, and it was a very nice game. But I mean, we're just totally defensive. We're not doing anything, and we got that 1 goal and kind of defended the whole game. But we defended well. We were organized. But now it's a whole different ball game. So I think the Man City match, I'm not too worried about it. I'm expecting our 3rd loss in a row. But I think this season we have seen that we lose 3 times and then bounce back. So at the beginning, we won the first 3 games, then lost 3. Then I think we won 2 more than I think and lost 3. So I guess after the 3,
it's all about number 3.
It's all about number 3 this season, and then we wake up and then we try to.
Interesting.
Yes, it's to come back, and maybe this time we'll have a better run. Man City, that's a loss.
Who do you think is going to take the top 4? Who do you think is going to take the 4th spot? Sorry, out of the top 4.
All right, we already know number 1. We know most likely.
We know the first 3, the top 3. We know the top 3. I'm
Top four.
particularly interested in the last spot, the fourth spot,
I,
Champions
I
League spot.
think I think fourth spot might actually be Manchester United. I
Okay,
am
interesting.
I'm betting on them to take fourth spot. Why? Is because I think they're just struggling, but they have a different type of struggle. They have the quality, they have
They
the
have the
finishers,
quality, yeah.
they have the organization, which they have the slick passing that we do not have.
Mm,
All they need is just make it click. And I
yes.
mean, Cristiano Ronaldo
Compared.
can score in every game if he wants. If it turns
Mm,
on, he can score in almost
yes,
every other game. So,
yes.
and that's what he has been doing. He's actually the one that kept Manchester United where they are. They should have lost very many games if it
Mm,
wasn't for Cristiano Ronaldo scoring those late goals.
mm.
So I think that Manchester United might just peep us on fourth, and
Mm.
if
Where are
I'm
you
to
putting
go,
Arsenal and West Ham?
no, they'll be West Ham will drop. I don't expect them to stay there.
And Arsenal?
Arsenal might be number six. Arsenal,
Yeah.
Tottenham for number six,
Yeah.
number seven.
Okay, okay, okay. I think you have shown your true colors as a Spurs fan. We welcome that optimism for Arsenal. But
Yeah,
respect must be given as well. Respect must be given as well to these guys. West Ham United, fantastic, fantastic players, and Jared Bowen as well carrying the team. It was Mikel Antonio in the first quarter of the season, and now obviously Jared Bowen doing the business for them. But they did, manage to draw in their last game against Leicester City, nicking a last-minute equalizer, more or less, goals coming in, from Jared Bowen with a goal and an assist as well, before Leicester City actually conceded almost at the death through a corner, and a Jared Bowen corner actually, and Craig Dawson coming into controversially level that one and give West Ham a point, and that actually keeps West Ham firmly in the hand. Yes, it's dropped points for them, but it's definitely keeping them firmly in the hand. And what that means is they move, or rather, they actually stay in fourth position, 25 games played, 41 points, one above Arsenal. Arsenal with, one above Manchester United. Manchester United with a game in hand over them and a point behind. So, they're hanging in there, West Ham. What are your thoughts on West Ham and, the organization that they have, the team that they have? That right there is their spine, if you like. Declan Rice, Jared Bowen, Mikel
yeah.
Antonio, and of course, Thomas Suchek, who has not really been as prolific in terms of the goal threat this season as he was last season in the air, but definitely in midfield, him and Declan Rice always keep it tidy and difficult to break down, always control the midfield battle, and then Jared Bowen and the rest of the attacking, doing the likes of Lanzini and this is the other guy I forget, who goes try to
Declan
feed
Rice.
the ball. No. There's another chap who I'm forgetting, the Spaniard, Pablo Fornals. Yeah, Pablo Fornals, that's his name.
Yeah.
And then Declan, Bowen, Fornals, and Benrahma, Saidu Benrahma. Often provide the attacking threat to link up to Mikel Antonio, and it has worked for them. And they're hanging there. They're not dropped. This is more or less like Leicester City's league triumph, where we always expected until the last two games of the season, everyone's like, these guys are going to drop at the end. Arsenal are going to nick it. But we were cast by Spurs and we lost the title that year to Leicester City. But West Ham showing very similar resilience, and you have to respect them. They have a solid team, especially from midfield all the way upwards. Defense wise, maybe their wing backs, they're a bit all right. Central defense, not yeah, they do they get they're they're disciplined enough to get the job done. But if they're hurried by a technically gifted player, they can make the mistakes as we have seen. But yeah, your comments on West Ham, they're not dropping out of this race, are they?
No, they're not. They're going to be like a thorn in the flesh for whoever is dropping any single point. And it's not just this season. Even last season, they were up there. And I think even if I remember well, last season I think they were even topping for some time. I think it was West Ham, if I remember. And
Leicester
then they just
City.
no last season.
Yeah, well, they were in there, but it was, they were more around fifth, sixth
Yeah.
consistently. With
Yes.
Leicester City was actually occupying the current spot they're occupying for the last 2 years. Fourth, fifth, fourth
Yeah.
in there until the last maybe 4 games when they, drop away.
Yeah. Then they
But these
began
guys,
dropping down.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
so they so they've been there. They're really organized. Their midfield is near perfect. By the way, near
Mm,
perfect. That midfield is
mm.
good.
That
Uh,
midfield is good actually.
yeah, it's really good. The finishing is not the best, but because the midfield is providing quality, it's easy for a mediocre striker to actually just finish it off.
Mm,
So they're a powerful team. Yeah, you're right. The defense is not exactly the best, but
mm.
they go back in numbers, so to compensate for that. And
Yes.
uh, and yes, they're very organized. I'm not pushing them down. They have a chance to actually finish fourth, but
Hmm.
I think the difference that a team like West Ham has, it's a team on the rise, as opposed to Spurs, Manchester United, Arsenal, which are big teams going down. So the psychology of the players is different. These are players who are really
Hmm.
motivated. The
Yeah.
ones of West really, really motivated to keep going up and work out to keep pushing, and they have nothing to lose. They don't
Hmm.
want to lose, but at the same time, they have nothing to lose. A team like Arsenal has everything to lose because I mean they have
Yes.
been there and struggling to maintain or to even come back to
Maintain.
where, yeah, or to come back even to the glory where they used to be. It's very difficult,
Mm,
and that's exactly where Manchester United is. That's exactly where Spurs is. So we are all caught there. So,
mm.
but the chances for me, I look at the statistics suggest that West Ham will more easily not have peak form of winning 5 games in a row
Yeah.
to keep themselves up there. But the Manchester United can just click and win those 5 games in a row and surpass them, and
Yes.
then go
Yes. Yes.
mediocre again, and then again click, and then and then come back up.
Go another
West
five.
Ham,
Yeah.
yes, but West Ham will stay constant. They'll win two, draw another one, lose, come back, win, and that kind of thing. So for me, I think they will drop, but I'm not
Mm,
downplaying them. They are actually a very, very good midfield team.
mm,
The dream midfield that I would want Tottenham to have.
mm,
Actually, if we
mm, mm.
just pick the team from West Ham, the midfield, and put it in Spurs, Spurs becomes a much better team, just like that.
Indeed. 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 Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting stuff about West Ham. Well, we'll wait to see. They're definitely a thorn in the flesh, and I think it will take them being beaten by the rest of the contenders around them, the likes of Spurs, United. I do need to very quickly check what their running does look like. But who of the big boys they have to play? They have Newcastle next. Then they have Wolves, very interesting game. Then they have, of course, FA Cup break, and then they have Liverpool. That should be interesting. Some drop points away at Anfield. Then they
Yeah.
welcome Aston Villa. Then Spurs, of course. You go, you welcome West Ham to the Spurs Stadium. Then Everton, Brentford should be fine for them. Burnley should be a tricky one. Then they have Chelsea. Then they have Arsenal, who will be a contender for that top four spot. And then Norwich will be fighting relegation. And then the last 2 games against Manchester City, who by this time should be crowned champions or should be very relentless with Liverpool on their bumper. So I don't either way. I don't see them winning this unless they have already been crowned champions, and then they close the season away to Brighton. So some tricky ties in there for West Ham. Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs. So those are 5 games already. That's 15 points that are not, more or less
Yeah.
no points
They're
is guaranteed,
tricky.
but they're not. Yeah, they're tricky for them. So they actually do need to pick up the wins now. But Newcastle, like we have seen, has picked up steam. They've won their last 2 games and have jumped out of the relegation zone. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Moving on to Manchester United, you did mention Manchester United, but I don't know what has happened to them. 2 1-1 draws there. Ralph Rangnick getting the heat with the rest of the team as well. They dropped 4 points out of a possible 6, and that is not looking good on them. And all of a sudden, despite their rosy position in 5th place on 24 points 24 games played and 40 points, they look vulnerable despite your confidence in them. Do you think, especially with the loss of Mason Greenwood in there, they did well to maintain Lingard, and I think the timing was very fortunate because he was due to be sold to Newcastle, and then news started hitting, started circulating of the Mason Greenwood scandal, and they're fortunate to just keep him in the last 2 days of the window. But still, the likes of Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Edinson Cavani, Jadon Sancho started to pick up, but not quite what you expect from a Manchester United team. What's the issue there? Their team in transition, rumors that the players are not happy with Ralph Rangnick's tactics. They feel they're archaic. And, an old school guy who was, in Paul Scholes' words, has been more of a technical director than a coach in the last 10 years. And, it's starting to show there for Man United. The cracks are showing. The egos are not taking these poor results lightly, and you're starting to see very poor results. Manchester United fans not excited at all about their most gifted player, one Harry Maguire there, who keeps on backsliding and making funny mistakes on the pitch instead of sticking his foot in there and being a proper defender. So there are so many issues all over the pitch for Man United. What do you think it's going to take for them to click? Because you had confidence in them to click, as you mentioned. They have the quality. They can easily put up a run of 5 games. What is it going to take for them? They have had 2 draws and are now one game behind West Ham, but have the rest of the chasing pack on their neck. Arsenal in 6th place there behind them, but with 2 games in hand over them and a point less. So it is looking quite tight. So what gives you the confidence that Man United will click?
I think the first thing is just the quality. I think what was probably disorganized Manchester United. I know they were having a bad run by the time they decided to kick out. What's his name?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, Solskjaer, the baby-faced assassin.
Baby-faced assassin, yes.
Until he grew old. Yeah, so I think they're having
very
a good
quick.
run. Yeah, and they were really clicking. Yes, so this struggled a bit, but they were really clicking. The team was beginning to enjoy playing under him, and as much as the results were not really agreeing with what they were doing, but I think he should have stayed a little longer. So that created a bit of a void. He was young compared to Rangnick and compared to some of the other coaches they have had, and he was clicking with the players very well, from my understanding, from what I could see. And that's why even when he left, they were really hurt that he had gone. And Michael Carrick also left. Was it Carrick? Yeah, I think it was.
Yes, Carrick, yes.
Who left just immediately after that happened. So that created a whole different atmosphere around them. And ever since then, they have really just not clicked as a team, and yet the players are really, really good. I'm not worried about the players. Maguire, I know you mentioned he's a bit very loose at the back, but at the same time, he plays the role of a striker sometimes. He has good headers and so on, and creates some very, very good goals, actually, sometimes. So I think it's that confidence level that has gone down when you go on a bad run, something similar to what Tottenham is going through. After struggling for 6-7 games, you kind of lose the confidence.
The momentum, eh?
Yeah, you lose the momentum. start to lose the confidence. So even for a person like Ronaldo, who is just supposed to be a clinical finisher, the clear passes, clear opportunities, you start taking them over because you're doubting yourself. You're like, should I take it? Should I pass? And that
Yes.
process, a defender comes, intercepts, and you kick it out, panic, and so on. So that's what's basically happening to them. People like Rashford. I mean, Rashford is just one other clinical finisher, but as you can see, he really struggling. Mason Greenwood's scandal is just the icing on the cake, just making it worse because it was a critical player. Yeah, very critical. Like I say, him and Bruno Fernandes changed that team. Now one of them is out, and the other one is half what he used to be. So it's complicated, but I just think they need time. The season's about to end, just 14 games to go. They might not have enough time, but I think 4 games down the road, I believe their momentum will pick up.
So they have Brighton and Hove Albion in their next game, and then Leeds. They go away to Leeds. Brighton is at home. And then, they go into the Champions League fixtures there against Atletico Madrid, starting in Spain away. And then they come back to the Premier League. They have Watford before it starts to get interesting in March with the Manchester Derby away at the City of Manchester Stadium, or rather the Etihad Stadium as it's now called. And then after that, they welcome your beloved Spurs to Old Trafford. Before going back into the second leg of the Champions League knockout last, round of 16 game against Atletico Madrid at Old Trafford, and then they come back from that for that, and they are away at Anfield for another crunch game against Liverpool. Then they welcome Leicester City, then Everton, then Norwich, then Arsenal, then Brentford, Brighton again, and then Chelsea. And finally close the season off with Crystal Palace. So they do have some banana skins in there of games, right? Chelsea, they have Arsenal away. It was Arsenal at United at Old Trafford. I'd be like, maybe not. But Arsenal at the Emirates, they're chasing top 4. Same, they're chasing the same thing. That might be a tricky one. I see a draw in there. And then, of course, you have Liverpool away at Anfield. And then you have Manchester City away at the Etihad. So there are about 4 tricky games in there. We did see that there are 5 tricky ones for you as Spurs. Manchester United have 4 tricky games in there in between Champions League fixtures against Atletico Madrid. So it's going to be a tight one for Ralph Rangnick, and we can only wish Manchester United the best. But moving on to my beloved Gunners. The best team in London, the Kings of North London, as you may well know, Mr. Walter. My boys, they are playing just one game and winning 1-0 there. Winning 1-0 there against Wolves. And it was a tricky game, goal coming in from Gabriel, who you can see in the screen there. And obviously, we're taunted by a lot of the opposition fans and even Ruben Neves of Wolves saying, that's a reflection of how much Arsenal has fallen by celebrating so wildly. But as you've seen from the results, Spurs losing 2 games, Manchester United drawing 2 in a row, West Ham keeping up the pace, winning 1, but then also dropping points and drawing 1, almost losing. That celebration was worthwhile. And all of a sudden, Arsenal now look like they have the advantage with regards to games in hand. 22 points. 22 games in 6th place with 39 points. We're already ahead. That's the same number of games as I mentioned as Spurs, but we're ahead of Spurs by 3 points, and behind Manchester United. We're 1 point with 2 games in hand, and 2 points behind West Ham with 3 games in hand. So if we're looking at winning these games in hand, all of a sudden we're more or less on the heels of Chelsea, and right ahead of the chasing pack. But as we've seen from what's happening to United and Spurs, that is easier said than done. That is if we win our games in hand. And the only advantage here I see for Arsenal is the fact that despite them having a bit of a thin squad on paper, they do have the benefit of being out of all the competitions, so they get more rest. They get more rest than any other players, any other teams in the chasing pack, apart from the likes of the relegation boys. So we're more or less playing a similar amount of games as the relegation boys. But we also have potential banana skins. Our next game, there probably one of the easier a lot is against Brentford before welcoming. Brentford is Emirates Stadium. Then we welcome Wolves back for the second leg at the Emirates. Then it gets interesting. You start to look at Watford coming in, which should be an easy one. You have Leicester at the Emirates, which should be fairly easy. And then you have Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Brighton and Hove, Southampton. And then now it starts to get very interesting in April. You have Manchester United, then we play West Ham after that. Then there's a rescheduled game somewhere in there with Chelsea, and then Newcastle, and finishing the season off with Everton at home, which would also be a little bit of a tricky game with Frank Lampard. You just never know which performance the Frank Lampard team is going to put out. But we've had good results against even his Chelsea team in the past under the same coach. So the banana skins there I see for Arsenal being Manchester United, being the game against Chelsea, and then you have Liverpool, and then you have Manchester United. Yeah. That should be it. Liverpool, United, Chelsea, and potentially, because of what is at stake, away going to West Ham to the London Stadium is going to be a tough match, I believe, for the Arsenal because of what is at stake. Yeah. So, do you see? Well, you already gave your opinion, but what's your take, very briefly, around Arsenal?
Arsenal is a team on the rise. Arteta, I think Mikel Arteta has finally got it. I think he has got the team he's been looking for, and I think he's still building. Arsenal is really, to me, they have very young players, and he's using them really well. They are clicking. They are not the best players in the world, but they're playing well together, and you can see the number of chances that they create. The opportunities are not for just a few people. All of them keep getting opportunities, Bukayo Saka and so on. Different people are getting opportunities, and that means that the team is playing more fluidly, and they're playing more as a unit, more like what Arsenal used to be in the past. I mean, the goals are coming from everywhere. But I think it's finally clicking. The Martinellis and so on, they're really doing a good job. And I think it just needs to add some more experience, because he's now relying on a fully young team. I think it just needs some experience, especially in the midfield. And then I think he will have a very competitive team. Actually, Arsenal, those fixtures that Arsenal has, I'm not too worried about Arsenal, because Arsenal has a much better potential to upset a Chelsea, which they have actually done before, and the Manchester City. I wouldn't say the same for Manchester United and Tottenham and their current states. Because of the psychology around the team, Arsenal seems to be climbing and more motivated. Tottenham and Manchester United seem to be just really struggling.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not finding it at the moment. So plus Arsenal,
and yet, Walter, you still mentioned that Arsenal will probably finish outside the top four and fight for sixth place with Spurs.
Yes, again, experience. That is what Arsenal does not have. So experience at some point kicks in. The young players will get tired at some point. I mean, the pressure will build. At least Bukayo Saka has been there for quite a while, but many of the rest have not been there, and so they'll get worn out. And at some point, you'll see the Manchester United dropping away. Not by far. Just, I mean, it's going to be very close until the end of the season. Yeah. But I'm thinking Manchester United might just niche it, because they actually have the perfect team to actually finish the job, just that they are failing to do it. but they have
Great,
it.
great, great.
And so Arsenal is just missing just a notch behind because of experience, in my opinion.
Yes,
But actually,
yes,
the
yes.
team is clicking and playing better than Manchester United, playing better than us, Tottenham.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks, Walter. I mean, we do have to leave it at that. For now, we'll obviously not touch on the other big boys, the top three. Manchester City winning two of its games, Liverpool doing the same to keep up pace with them, and Manchester City sitting at the top of the table there, 25 games played, 63 points. Liverpool on 24 games played on 54 points, just a game behind, and it's still, if Manchester City falters and Liverpool win their next game, then you have a race on your hands. And Chelsea more or less comfortable in third position, having won the FIFA World Club Cup of the week, over the weekend, beating Palmeiras in that one, an extra time goal there coming in for them to nick it, and they're world club champions. But I mean, that those ones is fairly straightforward, and we do know it is more squeaky, or rather more heated in the race for the top four, and we will have to leave it at that for now and wait to see what the next round or rounds of fixtures actually offer for us. And it's been great having you on the show, Walter. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button as well, and we do hope that you have enjoyed your content. Walter, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We look forward to
Thank
having
you.
more Spurs insight from North London right there, and we do hope you can win a trophy soon. You should head down to the Arsenal online shop and see what it looks like, what comment you get when you do not have anything in your cart. Or rather, I think they actually removed that and apologized. Yeah, it just you saw that statement saying your cart is as empty as Spurs trophy cabinet. Yeah, cheeky dig there.
We have
To
an
the
FA,
Spurs
we have an
media.
FA Cup in 2006. I think we are suffering.
But that was a League Cup. That was a League Cup.
Yeah,
League
the
Cup.
big cup. Yeah. Mm.
Let's correct that, which I think was even stolen from the trophy cabinet. So I don't know. So, anyways, I think the Arsenal Football Club did come out and provide an official apology there. But
Yeah.
it was very nice banter, so to speak. But great
Yeah,
having you, Walter.
thank you so
Yeah,
much, Matthew. It's
yeah,
been
great
here.
having you, Walter. Yeah, pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. You have a good rest of the week, and thank you for coming over.
The same. Have a good night.
Cheers. Good night.